Hi, I'm Aaron, and this is the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast. As much as 35% of people in the US report having MCS. In Canada, more than 1 million people have been diagnosed with the condition. Some researchers say MCS will soon become one of the most common illnesses across the globe. And yet, folks with MCS are often dismissed by medical professionals. Public health departments haven't done nearly enough to support people with the illness. Individuals with MCS often find their own families, friends, and colleagues don't have enough information to understand how the illness affects them and how to help. I'm a longtime journalist, university educator, and communication studies researcher. I've lived with MCS for years, and like anyone with a condition, I know how the modern world we live in can make us chronically ill. The goal of the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast is to talk with a lot of people with MCS, including some who've decided to give back.
It was a nightmare leaving my home, sleeping in my car because of issues with my home. It was difficult, but had I not walked that path, even though I'm a very caring, compassionate person, I could never understand what another person was going through.
There'll be deep dives with scientists zeroing in on what causes people to develop chemical sensitivity, who are calling on industry and educational institutions to limit the harms of everyday toxins.
Most graduates of chemistry departments may never get even a single course in how to engineer chemicals that are not harmful to the environment and to public health.
You'll hear from people with MCS who know firsthand about how the illness can make romantic relationships, even finding furniture, sometimes a little complicated.
She picked out beautiful coloring and got this recliner shipped all the way from, I think, Sweden or Norway. And it arrived and I couldn't be in the same room with it.
You'll hear from parents adapting to the challenges of raising children with MCS.
If we can't take her outside, if she can't be around people that have fragrances on, how is she going to go to school? How is she going to have friends? How is she going to do the things that she wants in life? And it just kind of shocks me.
I'll speak with researchers who study the connection between everyday chemicals and the wider environmental crisis we're facing.
These substances are hurting people. It needs to be an ethical issue, and we need to think about all sorts of things that we do that used to be considered personal, like whether or not you put a bunch of cologne or perfume on before you go into your job. That is no longer a merely personal issue. That is an ethical and political act.
The more we talk about multiple chemical sensitivity, the more will be heard and help inform others about the impacts of everyday chemicals.
We often are suffering in silence, those of us who are more acutely ill. And I think that if we begin to speak out and share some of the science around harm being caused by these products, that actually folks are willing to listen.
Find the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast on all major platforms, even on YouTube. Write a review. Search for the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, or use the words podcasting MCS to find us online. Email me at info@chemicalsensitivitypodcast.org. I'll definitely write back, and please share the podcast with others.